Good afternoon, my beautiful babes and babettes. I am your resident active advocate. And canonically, the next Disney movie is Lady and the Tramp, chronologically speaking. But there is no disability narrative in that movie. So I am moving on to Sleeping Beauty. I thought that was the next one. All right. There is one and only one character I want to talk about in this movie. Her name is Maleficent, and she is the self-described mistress of all evil. She is also, arguably the only interesting character in that movie, but she's definitely the most interesting character in that movie. I would say that the three good fairies, they're decently interesting. They're fine, especially Merryweather, the youngest of the three. But nah, when you get to Maleficent, you get into classic Disney villain territory, and she's just awesome at what she does. She is so good at what she does. She has no regard for the people around her, even if they serve her. She has no conscience whatsoever, and I don't mean in the sense of being amoral, though. It's not the same as it was with Peter Pan, who, as I described, is an amoral agent. He doesn't know the difference between good and evil. Maleficent definitely knows the difference, and she chooses the evil, okay? So she is intellectually grown up, in quotation marks, shall we say, as compared to Peter Pan, who is not, and who can never be. But when it comes to Maleficent, I would definitely say that she would have some form of sociopathy. Sociopathy, as I have outlined before, is definitely an umbrella term. There's no strict typology of this personality is sociopathic, this is not. There's definitely a scope of these things, but one of the primary characteristics of sociopathy is that you don't care about the well-being of others, and this can also be seen with narcissistic personality disorder and can also be seen in Machiavellianism, which we talked about both of those with the stepmother in Cinderella, who coincidentally is the same actress who plays Maleficent. I think that Disney, with the classic female villains, goes for this sort of vibe where it's like, I believe I am superior to everyone else, therefore I am willing to put other people down in order to retain that position. And depending on how much power they have, supernatural or otherwise, they will go to any means necessary to not only retain that power, but to broaden their power. So with Maleficent, what makes her so interesting is that she is definitely sociopathic, but she is also Machiavellian in that she can plan her strategy ahead of time. And she's definitely the smartest character in the movie. That is without question true. She sees an opportunity to get power by means of cursing an infant child to, well, she curses her to die. One of the good fairies, by the way, spoilers. I've been forgetting to put spoiler warnings up for these movies. I just kind of assume that everyone's seen them. But she curses Aurora, who we'll get to Aurora, but she curses Aurora to death, but one of the good fairies, Merryweather, the youngest, saves her and sort of reworks the spell so that it will be eternal sleep until Love's true kiss, or Love's first kiss, whatever it is, breaks the spell. Okay? The reason why we are talking about Maleficent and her social disorders, shall we say, rather than talking about Aurora with the eternal sleep thing, is that, well, narcolepsy can be considered a condition. It's not narcolepsy, it's just full-on magic, even though you could technically say that narcolepsy could be part of the condition. Narcolepsy, by the way, is the ability to fall asleep anywhere, anytime, and also the inability to stay awake anywhere, anytime. So theoretically, if you translate this into real world dialogue, Aurora could be said to have narcolepsy, but that's not really part of the narrative, and the whole thing about it being undone by love's first kiss. The same thing happened with Snow White. I really don't want to talk about Aurora, though, because she is the most boring Disney princess in the entire canon. I don't know of a single person who would prefer Aurora over all of the other princesses, and especially some of the later ones who we will get to. But the thing I really, really love about Maleficent is that while she is sociopathic, it's so enjoyable. It really is. And I love the portrayal of evil in this movie because it is evil for its own sake. She doesn't necessarily even have a motive. Like I say, she does want power, but she doesn't want to mess people's lives up because she wants power. She wants to mess people's lives up because she wants to mess people's lives up. The motivation with the original character doesn't go any deeper than that. And this is also why we're not talking about the remake that was seen in Maleficent, which is a movie that came out a few years ago. I heard someone give an analysis of that movie where the guy said, oh, men don't need an excuse to be evil in media, but women always have to have this tragic backstory. And I'm like, really? Have you seen the original movie? Have you seen the source material from which Disney is deriving this character? Because I know that in the remake, Maleficent does have, well, A, a backstory in the first place, but B, a rather tragic backstory. But not in the original movie. In the original movie, she is the mistress and embodiment of all evil in this kingdom. And at the end, she also turns into a dragon. Dragons were long ago associated with Satan in the Judeo-Christian tradition, and especially when that tradition was carried over into mythologies that already believed in dragons. So into the Celtic mythos, for example, or in, Norse mythology, that sort of thing. Dragons became associated with Satan, because Satan, as put forward by Milton, was the snake in the Garden of Eden. That, by the way, is not part of the original biblical narrative. But snake, small reptile, depending on the kind of snake you got. Dragon, huge reptile, right? So it's like evil just getting gradually larger and larger and larger and larger in scope until you get up to dragons. And Maleficent, at the end, transforms into a dragon, which for her would be the ultimate embodiment, not only of evil, but of power. And she is brought down by the prince, but only just. And he almost dies in the attempt, and he needs magic to help him, because he is also bland and uninteresting and gets very few lines in the movie and can't do very much for himself. So I love Maleficent, I really do, because she's definitely a queen. Absolute badass. And if she weren't actually sociopathic and, displayed some empathy, just because she's a go-getter, I would want her in charge of that kingdom. But it wouldn't be good for the people involved. Absolutely not, because as I said at the beginning, she has no regard for the lives and well-being of other people. So that's Maleficent. That's not Sleeping Beauty, but that's Maleficent. And I like her quite a lot. My next movie is going to be 101 Dalmatians. We're going to be talking about Cruella de Vil, and she is another queen and has a very similar yet different personality type to Maleficent, and we will get there when we get there tomorrow. So I hope you have enjoyed watching me indulge my rather evil side. And I will see y'all tomorrow for another fun video, because this is another really fun character. All right, have a lovely, wonderful day, and Again, if you can hear the noise out there, not my fault, but I apologize. All right, see you later. Bye! Mwah!